Hey guys, hey guys. I'm at the Frankfort Cemetery in Frankfort, Kentucky, and I'm here at the grave of Elizabeth Ann Hulette, born November 19th, 1960, died May 1st, 2003. So who is Elizabeth Ann Hulette? Well, she's better known as Miss Elizabeth from the WWE, or WWF, WWE, however you want to know it. She was an announcer early on, and then she became a manager. Like I said, she's professionally known as Miss Elizabeth. Primarily a manager is how I knew her back in the 80s. She gained huge fame from the mid-80s into about early 92s with the WWF, and then from 96 to about 2000 for the WCW. She was a manager of, when I got first exposed to her, it was with Macho Man, Randy Savage, and then that's how I got to know her. She was always kind of he was a little bit of abusive to her, in the ring, and she was just this pretty little manager. She died of acute toxicity in 2003 in the home she shared with another wrestler, Luger. After wrestling, she was briefly married to a Florida attorney, and that ended in '99. Elizabeth and Lex Luger stayed together as a couple after leaving the WCW in early 2000, and she kind of worked in some gyms and that Luger had owned, and for years after, he and Sting opened some wrestling academies. I think she assisted as well. In 2003, she was involved in a domestic dispute with Luger. He had allegedly hit her. Police found her beat up a little bit. Luger was charged with that. 10 days later, they had some more issues. Luger did, and in his car with guns in an accident, and Elizabeth was in the car with him, and she was sent home in a taxi cab. And then, this was in 2003, early, like March, I believe. And then May 2003, they just had a lot of problems, unfortunately. Luger called 911 to report that Miss Elizabeth hadn't responded to mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Paramedics rushed her to the hospital, where she was pronounced dead at the age of 42. The medical examiner listed her cause of death as acute toxicity brought on by a pair of painkillers and vodka. Her death was ruled an accident. So, an unfortunate end to a young lady who really was kind of was part of my childhood as a wrestling manager. Managing wrestling. Macho Man Randy Savage, who was one of my favorites at the time. Back of the gravestone, empty on there. Like I said, just a real simple inscription of her birth and death, date. So a very simple tombstone here at the Frankfort Cemetery, the grave of Miss Elizabeth. Thanks, guys.